Good morning, everybody. Friday and happy Veterans Day. Hopefully my audio is going good. I'll figure out with you if everybody is right or not right. That's okay. Let's see what we do.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Sometimes the audio, you guys know, when I first connect, it takes about 10 seconds to catch up. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all that are serving and have served. Who in here is a veteran? Currently serving? Spouse in the military? Kids in the military? Anyway, it has been quite a week. I didn't think we were going to make it to Friday. Oh, it's hot in here. Hang on, I gotta take my jacket off. Started out the week talking about, I was trying to do a case comparison between Jared, his charges pending in Utah, and Don Wells, who has no charges because they say there's a statute of limitations problem. Well, my whole thing was, no, there's not, because Jared's got charges. It's been 30 years. So anyway, I wound up biting off a little more than I could chew and found a lot of my week sort of monopolized by that insanity. Out of my system. I'm good. Then we had Quentin's grandma Billy jumped into chat the other day, and some people that aren't used to our chat and how we do things were losing their minds. They were losing their minds, but we got it all back together. We made it to Friday. Our government workers, I guess, got 2 days off this week. We had Election Day, and now it's Veterans Day. Who did I miss? Because I was in here chatting real early this morning. Amba is in here. Not just Amber, Amba. I said hi to Gaelic. Hi again. There's my friend Bea Shiner, Wolverine. Then I saw Wolfcat was in here. Wolfcat's sick. Hello, Avi. Hello, Lisa. Muscles is in. Marco, PJ, Granny. I was talking to you. Olivia said Zaname. No. Joy. Hello again. Shep made it. I saw TBT. Hello again. Annie said Brooks is swimming again. For real. For real. StreamYard acts like this is something that they can't fix. And I said, look, everything I try it on, the first 10 seconds sounds like I've got my head in a toilet. What's up, Bob? How's it going? How is it going? Life Chaos. Hello, Marco. Marco, thank you for your service, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Hello, Carolina. Hey, Just Me. So besides it being Veterans Day, not last night, the night before, Amanda did an interview on another channel. The name of the channel is COTR. COTR. I really wasn't knowing what to expect because she is cousins with one of the hosts. So I didn't know it's going to go one way or another. I was very pleasantly surprised. It's either going to be we're head petting Amanda, going to be super nice to Amanda, or it's going to be a knockdown drag out because, well, family is the original F word. You down with me? They handled it awesome. You wouldn't even know that anybody was, to me anyway, I thought it was, she answered the question she was asked. Let me put it that way. So today actually is 2 months since Debbie was found in the woods. Alone. Burnt stomach. Holding on to a limb. It looks like she was holding on for dear life. She has 2 children, Amanda and Jeffrey. And like a lot of families, the siblings are night and day. Night and day. We discussed Jeff on the last show that we did about Debbie last week. I'll go through some comments in a second. And Jeffrey, he says this is a homicide. He says his mom would never wander out in the woods by herself. She doesn't partake in any sort of high-risk behaviors like that. She wouldn't be out in the woods by herself. He says, my mom doesn't wear shorts. He doesn't think it's even his mom at the Family Dollar. Jeff went on to say that he doesn't think his sister has the capability, the capacity, whatever word you want to use, to kill their mother. He also said a mouthful when he said that was her lifeline. It's no secret that Amanda, had to get money from her mom quite often. He said that was her lifeline. He said, but he wasn't so sure about the people around Amanda. Well, in Amanda's interview, she never really said too much, unless I totally missed it, about her brother. Just that her mom would be very mad about the cyberbullying that's going on. Her mom wouldn't tolerate it. She believes her mom unalived herself. She swears those are her mom's legs. In that Family Dollar footage, I think she said something about the jersey was about a year old. So I had to go back through, before doing this show, some earlier interviews. Not interviews with Amanda. I did look at that. news articles where they said she has no history of mental illness. But Amanda's saying that she took the week off of work, which was said early on. This week off of work was well planned in advance. It wasn't a at the last moment thing. Could just be a rumor. I don't know. She said she was depressed and that she was giving away a bunch of stuff. Well, all the stuff she was giving away was only to Amanda. I thought that was odd. You know, we have two different personalities, two different siblings. Jeffrey is very goal driven and composed, is how I take him. I have an article I'm going to go through from the New York Post where the FBI are very much involved. Amanda, I was surprised. I was very surprised. I expected a very combative, which I got a feel of that. I got a feel of the pissed off Amanda. She's mad. She's irritated. She brought up the cyberbullying many times. I figured her talking to her cousin who's been taken up for her, which is a good thing, right? I got a very agitated, easily distracted. It was pretty funny when she told Andrew to get out of the room. Don't talk to me, Andrew. I did like that. A lot of passive aggressive behavior. I don't know when this is all going to go down. Supposedly, with the police are going to do a press conference to say that Amanda's cleared. They normally don't roll like that. This isn't the first case I've covered, as you know. And it's very rare for police to come out to let the public know that anyone's cleared. Matter of fact, sometimes they don't say anything until after all is said and done. In an ongoing investigation, a lot of times they don't make public statements like that. According to her, they're going to. According to her, they're going to. According to her, they're going to. Again, I thought the host did a great job. I thought they were really fair. I didn't know really what to expect. And I was just pleasantly surprised that she didn't get out of any questions or anything. So I'm going to look at a couple comments from the last show we did about Debbie and get on with it. All right, Pamela said, I read the Venmo amount was pretty much the last amount of money in the account. Now, this Venmo amount has been talked about almost more than anything in this case. It's really telling as well when Jeffrey said, when he spoke with 11 Alive, and he said, that's not an amount of money that his mom was normally giving to Amanda. I know some people say, well, Jeff and his mom weren't on the best terms sometimes. That happens in families. Let me tell you, that happens in families when you have an adult child, a kidult, Kidult. You're going to have one sibling busting their ass, contributing to American capitalism. Then you have one that says, I'm helping mom and dad. I'm helping mom and dad. We're so close. They love me, blah, blah. And they're in mom and dad's retirement. So I have a little bit of a feeling, I don't know, Jeffrey's never told me, I don't talk to Jeffrey, that could be part of his issues. That could have been part of his problems. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess. He said that Venmo amount, and we have seen many, many, many screenshots of the Venmo, no amount near that. It was always, here's a 20, Amanda, here's a 50. I saw a 45 one time. It was one thing after another. Here's for your script, here's for some gas, here's for a battery or whatever. But not an amount like that. And he doesn't have to be thick as thieves with his mama, because I know how my sons are with me. I'm the last to know. He's an independent man. He's married. He put a beautiful, beautiful tribute out to his mother on Mother's Day. So because he's not asking her for lunch money doesn't mean he doesn't love his mother or that he's not being genuine. It could just be that's how he is. I understand that's being said. So anyway, I do want to know more about the Venmo amount. In the interview, we'll get to it in a minute, Amanda didn't really touch on that too much. She did say that she has the money. That money has not been, the police didn't seize the money. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that, I'm just being honest. I'm surprised there was any left. She just moved down there. I'm really surprised because this is an ongoing investigation. I'm really surprised she has the money. Anyway, Nisa said the photo of her side-by-side, the one of her mom in the store, they look like they have the same legs. It makes me wonder if that wasn't her, since she said she'd been at the same dollar store dressing up like her mom since her son said that he hasn't seen her in shorts for 5 years. And that is, according to Amanda from this interview last night, that's her mom, that's her legs. I'm glad I picked this comment because it was said early on, and it's so odd and bizarre. There was a whole news clip I put up about it, that she told the officers that she was at that Family Dollar. She wasn't. They had to do an entire, part of their investigation to figure out if she was posing as her mom. What time was she at that dollar store? And then they came out and they said she never was there. Why would you say you were at that Family Dollar if you weren't there? I don't know. A lot of interesting things. This case is way beyond, to me, her unaliving herself. The FBI's involved now. How many cooks do we need in this kitchen to figure out if this woman, Debbie Collier, intended to do this? And intended to do this to herself. Not just intended to do this to herself, but in the most bizarre fashion. How do you plan to suffocate from starting a fire? That's what we're told the cause of death is. I think there's a lot more to it. All right, I'm going to look at this article, kind of bouncing between Amanda and Jeffrey. While I'm getting to this article, what do you think happened to Debbie? Accident? Unalived? On purpose? Or homicide? All right, this is from the New York Post. I will put it in the description after the show. Debbie Collier's son is still desperate for answers about his mom's murder. New York Post is saying it. The detective in the press conference, when he was asked, what is a death investigation? He said, where are you getting that? He said, no, this is homicide. This is a murder. Why is anyone spinning the narrative away from what law enforcement has been saying? I don't understand. We're not doing great by any means, Jeffrey Bearden told Court TV on Friday. Even after 2 months, I'm still sitting there questioning. I skipped a part, a very important part. Bear with me. I had a whole pot of coffee by myself. Debbie Collier's son is still desperate for answers about his mom's murder almost 2 months as the FBI has joined the hunt to find her killer. The FBI does not investigate unaliving on purpose. Last I heard. Is the FBI business pretty slow right now? Could be. Collier, 59, was reported missing September 10th by her daughter, Amanda Bearden, who said Collier sent her a cryptic Venmo payment of more than $2,300 with an ominous note. She was found dead the next day in a wooded ravine with charring on her abdomen, about 60 miles north of her Athens, Georgia home. Jeffrey Bearden, who lives in Baltimore, says he wants to know why his mom sent his sister Amanda such a large amount. $23.85 with the note, they're not going to let me go. Now, for those of you that saw Amanda's interview, I went through it as many times as I could to get ready for this show. Did you hear Amanda explain the amount? Because I couldn't get any real reasoning to this amount of money. I go back to the comment that said, and I've heard this comment many, many times, it basically drained the account. That makes more sense to me than anything anybody else has tried to put together. MMA's court fines, piss on that. He doesn't care about his court fines. I want to know who they, in quotes, are, her grief-stricken son said. Kelly said, I didn't hear her explain it either. Thank you, Kelly. I thought, did I miss all that? Anyway, there's Debbie's car. He says, I want to know who they are. We go back to the show from last week where Jeff had spoken to 11 Alive and another local station outside of Atlanta and said, I don't think my sister has it in her to do this to our mother. That was her lifeline. Jeff knows what's up. Jeffrey knows what's up. He knows that his sister depended on their mother. His older sister depended on their mother financially. He's very well aware, but he said the people around her, he's not so sure. We go to the New York Post where he spoke to them. I want to know who they are, is what he said. He said, I'm still feeling this is a homicide based on discussions I've had with law enforcement. But then again, with how long everything has gone on, some of the decisions that have been made and some of the lack of communication, it is hard to even know what could have happened. Well, I mean, if they're saying that this is a homicide and that's where they're leaning, well, then that's what they're investigating. Law enforcement declared Collier's death a homicide early in the investigation, but seemed to backtrack on the claim a few weeks later with no explanation. The Habersham County Sheriff's Office has not replied to repeated requests for comment by the Post. So that goes back to not the last show about Debbie, the show before when I said, who are these sources that spoke to Fox Digital, not even Fox News, Fox Digital, and Habersham Now, which is a local website for Habersham County. Because law enforcement is not standing by these sources, and they have not come out to even verify, correct, or anything. If this is not a homicide investigation, they would damn sure let the family know. They may not let us know. They may not have a press conference, but they would let the family know we're leaning a different way. Plus, what we're alluding to here, well, what Amanda is saying she thinks happened. How do you plan to light a fire and suffocate from it? Who lights themselves on fire in a way of going to the next universe? That is so rare. And in women, almost never. Almost never. Somebody by now would have come out. It's been 2 months, which is very early on in an investigation, by the way. Some investigations go on 10, 15 years. We're just 8 weeks in. Somebody would have come out and said, something was up. Debbie was acting really weird. Debbie was acting really weird. We heard the 911 call from Steve. We heard the 911 call. We had a recent case. Thank goodness she's been found, Michelle Reynolds, that was having some mental issues. When her husband called to report her missing, he was 100% transparent. Something's going on mentally. She's been found. Everything's good. They're doing fine. But when Steve talked to the 911 operator, he was like, no, she's 59 years old. She's fine. But Amanda's saying, she said early on her mom had no mental illness problems, but now she's saying that her mom's been depressed. She took that week off and was giving her all her stuff. I don't know. Bearden said that from what I know of my mother, it doesn't make any sense for her to be out there. And as a concerned son, I'm scared she entered into something she didn't know she was entering into and something bad happened. I agree with Jeffrey. I really do. That makes the most sense to me. She entered into something she didn't know she was entering into and something bad happened. That's the most logical explanation. Except we still don't understand the Venmo. Why would you make sure when you're married to Steve that every last dime goes to Amanda and Amanda only? Nothing for Jeff and nothing for your husband. Snow, yeah, she has the money. She has the money. They froze her bank account, but now it's unfrozen. Let me look at this. Dixie, I think Steve was sick of Amanda. Probably. That gets daunting. I couldn't imagine. And I feel very, very bad for adults that are going through it, that you've raised your children, yet somehow they're still financially dependent on you. And that seems to be the case with Amanda and Debbie. Debbie's working, Steve's working, and I really wish Steve would speak out, especially with what Amanda put out yesterday. Especially with what she put out yesterday. I really wish he would sit down with a local news anchor and maybe talk about the weeks leading up to. Because I just do not believe that if Debbie was that depressed, no one has said a word. No one. And I would love to know what her Google history is like. Because if this was the plan, I'm going to assume she did a little bit of research on how to suffocate yourself with fire. Come on. All right, now I'm not going to play the entire interview. It's really telling. So anywhere you guys want me to stop it and discuss, you let me know. Do we have a troll in here, Joy? Is someone causing problems? Tony Smith, ignore him. Does he have a Bert avatar like from Sesame Street? He started doing that during the Kylie Rodney case. Everybody thought he was Sammy Smith's father. Tony, do you want to grab the link? Tony says unaliving suffocation equals item. I understand that, Tony. What are the odds you're going to do that? Have you researched how women normally, if they want to check out how they do it? How'd she wind up in the ravine? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. Anywhere you guys want me to pause this, let me know.
And when I woke up and I didn't have anything on my phone, I knew, Amanda, you're gonna have to show your butt. You have to show your butt. Get somebody to listen to you. So and I had tried the night before, but I called Enterprise. Enterprise was closed. At that moment, I mean, judge me all you want, but I didn't think to call roadside assistance. But I did Saturday morning. I first called their call center, and I pretended to be my mother. I had no problem saying that, because I thought, hey, if I call these people and I say I'm in trouble, they're going to send somebody out to me. Send somebody out to the van. Get her help right now.
It's actually really good thinking. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm racking my brain, but people don't see that. They don't want to see it. But the girl that I talked to, she gave me the rental agreement number, and she said, you're going to have this to speak with roadside assistance. And I hung up. I called roadside assistance, and we kind of got into it. Because I guess they could obviously tell I wasn't my mother. I was like, look, someone's life's at danger. Like, I was saying anything and everything I could to get somebody to listen to me. And they basically, no, this is what ended the conversation. I said, GPS my van, because I have a tire out on the van. And they tell me, well, this vehicle specifically doesn't have, I forget what they called it, but they said that the van didn't have it. So they could, triangulate where the van specifically was. So from there, I hung up and I called Athens Clark County Police Department. When I initially called, I said, look, I need to see the lead investigator on my mother's Bolo disappearance. I don't know the technical terms here, but
okay, now I'm not trying to pick anybody apart or anything like that. According to her, she's been cleared by law enforcement. So she's talking about her own investigative work to try to find her mother. She says she called the roadside assistance and she pretended to be Debbie. Don't think that statement right there didn't light the internet up when they said, oh, really? You're pretending to be Debbie. I'm just pointing that out. Now, we heard the call when she called the next day on that Sunday, and she said, I have the rental agreement. We've heard that 911 call. This description of that call, that's a recorded call, is different. I just want to note that. So either she forgot what she really said to 911, which is recorded, or there was two different phone calls. I don't think there was two different phone calls, though, because she said she asked to talk to the lead investigator. She called and she wanted to talk to Colonel Johnson. And that's when she started going through, I have the rental agreement. And they said, there is no Colonel Johnson here. They weren't aware of any phone call or anything. This could just be her sleuthing capabilities. I don't know.
The lady said there's no one that works on Sunday. Let me get you somebody. Let me get, I'll get somebody to call you back. Mr. Sergeant Johnson, I think I think he's a sergeant. Very nice man. I expressed to him, and I'm pretty sure that's what you guys heard. I expressed to him my situation. He agreed with me. He said, I definitely feel like something's going on here. That anyway, he took it very seriously. He told me, I'm going to try to keep you updated as much as I can. I don't remember. I guess it was about 11 o'clock. I'm going to say 10:30, 11 o'clock. Sergeant Johnson called me back and he said, "Hey, did your mom have a reason to be in Raven County?" And then immediately I'm overtaken by terror. I then knew something was seriously wrong. I jumped in my car and I went as fast as I could to Raven County. It's about an hour and a half drive out there. And then I'd gotten another phone call from him. I pulled over. I saw that he was calling, and as I'm pulling over, I look at my GPS. I use Waze, and you know how it shows you where police are. As I'm answering the phone, I noticed that there were 2 cop cars not far from me. But I pull over and I take the phone call from Sergeant Johnson, and he says, "Okay, we found the van, and it's near a campsite. But I can't tell you where it is. I don't know specifically where it is. And not even 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 5 minutes. Excuse me, I'm going to say there for a moment. He said a campsite. I get on Google and I'm Googling campsites. Anyway, I get back on the road and I run right into these deputies. I saw the van. I got out of my vehicle and I'm yelling and screaming. I said, "That's my mama's van. That's my mama's van." And that was, anyway, I asked the police officer, I said, because I don't know where I'm at. I asked him, I said, "Can I go? I've got to pee." And he tells me, it's just like, anyway, not even a quarter of half a mile, maybe down the road. I went, he said, "Look, there's not much." Well, I did speak with them for a minute. He said, "We're calling." He said, "We're going to get the canine out here. And then we're also, if we don't find her within a reasonable amount of time with the canine, we are going to get a helicopter out here." And so I went to use the restroom. I came back. The canine was there. He was already there. They were maybe in those woods 10 minutes. And the police officer came back and he said, "Come here." And I knew. Yeah, I've argued with him. I even hit his bulletproof vest a few times. I'm sorry. I didn't hit him, but he was just hugging me. I kept saying, "Where are you sure? Are you sure? How do you know?" And he wouldn't tell me anything. He just said, "Believe me, she's gone." Anyway, that is all the steps I took.
Okay, I have a question. Maybe you guys caught it because I certainly didn't. So they asked, "Would your mom be in this county?" And she said she instantly felt terror. I don't know why, but she said she instantly felt terror. And they wouldn't tell her where, but she Googled campsites. Now, we have a lot of locals in the Debbie Collier Crime Lines and Lies group, and they've explained the Tallulah Falls region. How did she mention going to different campsites? Because I'm trying to figure out how she found where they were. Did she just happen across like where the police cars were or what? Paula said she did. Yeah, she Googled the campsites until they said she was at a campsite. I'm just talking about, and maybe if you guys are local in here, I'm trying to remember how it was explained. Some people just thought it was odd that she went to that campsite because that wouldn't be the campsite you would go to as first. Waze told her where the police were. Thank you, Court K.
That day.
So what I'm hearing is like you were kind of doing your own, like, looking for your mom. And when you heard she was in a certain county, you just started heading that direction, which is the reason why there wasn't a huge difference between the time law enforcement got there versus when you got there. Because you weren't staying at home.
Yeah.
You weren't at home when you got the call, right? Is that what you're saying?
I was determined I was going to find her. Anyway.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. You're fine. You're fine.
You're fine. And how you reacted is completely normal. I mean, it's
I knew I would
something
get
you
down
don't
on
wanna-
that fight. Sorry, I interrupted you, babe.
No, you're fine. It's completely normal. I mean, the immediate response to hearing something like that is denial, and that comes out in fighting and yelling, and I mean, you go into a panic.
Law enforcement was so good to me, though. Obviously, you guys can see I've been on the other side a few times. But Habersham County really changed my opinion of law enforcement. So much that I got to get this out here. Family members, whatever, yada yada yada. Sit there and say, "Oh, I was there through everything." No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Some of them weren't even in the state of Georgia at the time. But and I'm not going to name any names, but if you had been there.
So what I'm hearing is like you were kind of doing your own, like, looking for your mom. And when you heard she was in a certain county, you just started heading that direction, which is the reason why there wasn't a huge difference between the time law enforcement got there versus when you got there. Because you weren't staying at home.
Yeah.
You weren't at home when you got the call, right? Is that what you're saying?
I was determined I was going to find her. Anyway.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. You're fine. You're fine.
You're fine. And how you reacted is completely normal. I mean, it's
I knew I would
something
get
you don't
down on
wanna-
that fight. Sorry, I interrupted you, babe.
No, you're fine. It's completely normal. I mean, the immediate response to hearing something like that is denial, and that comes out in fighting and yelling, and I mean, you go into a panic.
Law enforcement was so good to me, though. Obviously, you guys can see I've been on the other side a few times. But Habersham County really changed my opinion of law enforcement. So much that I got to get this out here. Family members, whatever, yada yada yada. Sit there and say, "Oh, I was there through everything." No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Some of them weren't even in the state of Georgia at the time.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear again. She said, all right, so family members said I was there, blah, blah, blah. I don't think they meant physically there. I think they meant there for the family or whatever. She's like, they weren't even in the state of Georgia at the time. Well, Amanda, you just got there on on September 8th. You just moved from Maryland. I think family members that she's so resentful towards is her brother. Because that he, Jeffrey, is talking to law enforcement, trying to get answers, talking to the New York Post, talking to 11 Alive. He's not sitting, He had an issue with the sheriff. I guess they're past that because he's talking to the FBI now. The FBI is involved. I don't think it's because of that. She said, I won't name any names. So we're playing the passive aggressive game. And if I was her, if she's truly cleared by law enforcement, I would be just so relieved that that's behind me. I wouldn't care who was in Georgia or not. She's got a real beef with someone in the family, and I can only assume it's Jeffrey. And I don't think he cares. I have a feeling she was doing more than gulping monsters and wiping off mascara when he was on 11 Alive and said, I don't think my sister has the capability because my mom was her lifeline, meaning she don't work. But I can't say that about people that are around her.
I'm not going to name any names, but, if you had been there, Mr. George Cason, and I'm sorry, Mr. Cason, but this man took my mother's passing seriously. He was fired up. I'm not going to repeat any of the things he was saying to me or whatever, but he genuinely acted like that was his mama out there. So, the criticism that law enforcement has been given, it had been for me.
And I would hazard a guess as to maybe that's why you're who they talk to. I don't
throughout all
speak out
this,
of turn, but
throughout all this, I've had family members, they didn't understand why no one was speaking to them. Well, maybe it was because I didn't harass them. Maybe, even, I'm not going to say they had their opinions of me in the beginning, but I wasn't worried about it. I knew that the truth was going to come out, and I told them, I said, y'all going to end up apologizing to me. And that's exactly what happened. But I really feel like law enforcement, I know for a fact they, because of some of the accusations that were made there by family members, again, not going to name any names, but they directly accused me of murder. And if I know anything about law enforcement, they're going to take any type of statements that are made, and they're going to follow up on those statements. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. So, I think that's what made them look at me a little harder even. But, they've gone through those phone records. They have, one of the things in my apology that I'd gotten, they said, we've asked certain people, key things about your mother, intimate things about your mother. And they were like, nobody else can seem to answer them. And we've seen who was closest to her. And this is why we're speaking to you.
All right, so I'm just going to say this. I'm not really buying this part of her interview. She's really trying to hit it home, and it's like her audience is an audience of one, meaning probably her brother. Mom loved me the best. I was the closest. That's the reason that law enforcement only speaks to me. Please do. Let's not forget, Amanda, you were the prime suspect. When they did the press conference, everybody in the room had your name in their mouth, and not one time did that detective correct them and say, I can't, answer that, or she's not the focus of our investigation, or yeah, we've been talking to her, or I'm not going to answer that. They answered it as if they were all on the same page. They were all on the same page. So for her to say, well, for law enforcement, she makes it sound like God opened up heaven and said to her, your mom liked you the best, Amanda. Your mom liked you the best. Because she tries to really hit this home. They would only deal with me because they would ask intimate details and only I knew. You're telling me Steve knows nothing about his wife? Now, I pick on his 911 phone call because I'm like, the dude doesn't have any idea what's going on. But what I'm talking about is he doesn't seem to know what's going on with the situation. He's in the dark. He was in the dark. She's white, and today she's supposed to be buying food. That was all he knew. Everything else was narrated from Amanda. The way she keeps saying that, law enforcement. They only talk to me. They only talk to me because I was the closest. Law enforcement is not going to tell you, Amanda, where they are in their investigation because you were the suspect at one time. And might still be. I don't know.
And, family members wanted to say, oh, well, you told them, that's not the case. I will go on here and say, the police don't owe you anything. I mean, they don't owe the public an explanation for their actions. Nobody in this world owes you anything. That's just the way I've been raised, and I've been raised to be tough. With that being said, but
and just to make sure I understand, I know you're saying law enforcement is communicating with you, but before they considered you a suspect, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was interrogated. Well, I was spoke to Sunday night. And then Monday, while a search warrant was being given, that key family member accused me of murder. And the next thing I know, I'm in a cop car being taken away.
Okay, the key family member, which I don't think was Steve, because we heard Steve on the phone. The key family member... Listen, people can accuse you of whatever they want. The cops are going to listen and be like, oh, really? Why do you think that? But just because the key family member, which I'm going to guess is Jeffrey, that seems to be who she's the most irritated with, even though she won't say any names. Just because the key family member said that, doesn't mean that she's immediately a suspect. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Brian says there's no suspects in this case. They haven't named any suspects, but as of this morning, Brian, the New York Post said it's a murder investigation. I have a feeling they know way more.
For an interrogation. They asked me if I would, and I agreed. I was compliant. I went willingly. But I guess it was about 6 weeks after. Anyway, whenever the memorial was, it was right before the memorial. We had a confidential interview with each other, and that's when me and law enforcement got back on a good page with each other.
But they did several searches and hours of checking into your alibi and searching your home. And
I think, if you don't believe me, y'all have harassed the cops enough, call them. I don't know what to say to you. That's your problem.
I don't mean to laugh, but
No.
It's a fair statement I would make. And did you submit like DNA? Did you do anything like that, or?
Thank you, Jason. that Sunday night when oh my goodness gracious, the redhead investigator, whoo, she got in my face. She said, "You killed your mother." Anyway, it was very traumatic. But I mean, I guess she was doing her job, but she attacked me. Right after that, I said, "I want to give you my DNA. Take it. I don't want an attorney. I don't take my DNA." And the very next day, they're at my house with a search warrant, and that's when I willingly gave my DNA. Andrew actually gave his DNA. I want to say it was either that day or the next day. We willingly gave it to law enforcement.
I'm dying to know, who is this cop with the red hair? Because I wasn't working that day, if you know what I mean. Got in her face and said, "You killed your mother." Then she acts like she's doing them a favor by saying, "I want them to take my DNA." Well, they were going to take it one way or another, girlfriend. Don't you worry. They were going to take it one way or another. They were going to take it one way or another. M. Faithful was asking what the big deal is about the money. If you guys in chat can chime in on that. It's just a bizarre thing for Amanda to get. She moves from Maryland. She shows up September 8th. Supposedly there was an argument on the 9th. Debbie disappears on the 10th. Debbie is found deceased on the 11th. We have a homicide investigation ongoing by Hamersham County. And we have this weird message, which Amanda acts like is nothing, not a big deal, and an amount of money that's rumored to have cleared out her account. Who, on a Saturday afternoon, decides to send every last dime to their adult child? If you're planning to check out and go to the next life, why are you going to send every dime to your daughter and not your son? I mean, at least divide it in half.
You're better than me. I'd ask for an attorney immediately. You're not getting anything from me. But that's just me personally. No matter what happens, I need an attorney because I don't know. I would. And just that alone would make me look guilty, and I'd be just fine with that. But I'm not doing anything without an attorney. So, and I mean, I think it's good that they didn't just talk to you for a second and then, okay, you're good. Like, it sounds like they weren't exactly like your best friend, and they shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't. He had a job to do. They had a job to do, and I respect that. I think that's the difference here. I respect law enforcement. They've been good to me. I think it's a respect thing.
Okay. So let's talk about Venmo.
Okay.
So obviously, when you got the message, you were saying that you were a whole lot of emotions, like confused, all that stuff. You didn't know what's going on. But I think the bigger question right now is, where's the money?
I am in possession of it. My accounts, there were weird things going on in my accounts. I don't, whatever. I guess it was frozen, but I do know that the GBI, the FBI, they've all been involved, and recently it's been released to me. So
at one point they had it seized, and then you're saying they gave it back.
Yep. Think what you want.
Well, I mean, I think that says a lot because I even spoke to a prosecutor about this and asked them, is that typical? And, their response, just like I thought, was that no, if it is seized, anything seized during an investigation is not going to be returned unless that investigation is closed, because there's always that chance that it was involved in criminal activity, and that a lot of times, even if you're cleared, they don't want to give it back. So, I mean, the fact that you got the money back, I think, is amazing. And to me, just the fact that they release that money to you, even after the FBI looked through it, says that there was no criminal activity involved with any of that.
Well, now, if we remember from the press conference, they said they had to figure out what device the money was sent from. I guess they got that cleared up. Now, they haven't done this press conference we've been hearing about for 2 weeks where they're going to come out and say Amanda had nothing to do with her mother's death. My question to all of you, because you're my friends and we get together and talk about these insane cases, and this one definitely is so sad and really insane. Do you think maybe, I mean, we're talking about what, $23.85? We're not talking about millions of dollars. Do you think they unfroze her account to see what she does with the money? I think they might be like, yep, there you go. It doesn't look like that it was criminally obtained, which her cousin Candace said. They'll seize money, afraid that it came from a drug deal or something. We see that this money came from your mama's account. Nothing nefarious going on there. It was sent to your Venmo account. I don't know. I don't know why else. To see what to see what else she does with it. It's just a conversation.
Or they would have given it to you.
I mean, I guess everybody thinks Habersham County is just a bunch of hillbillies, and I outsmarted, local law enforcement, the GBI and the FBI. But I mean, I guess thank you for your confidence. I'm not really sure what to do with that, but again, I don't know what to say.
Any idea what, like, it's such a weird amount. Like, any idea, like, I mean, between the message and the amount, everything else, like it's I think it's a big part of why there's so much, people on one side versus the other side. It just, this Venmo, it's very crazy.
One of my favorites is Annie. Oh my goodness gracious, you look like a pterodactyl, sweetheart. But wanting to say it aligns with my birthday. It's what Andrew owed at a rehab facility. Okay, well, first of all, the charge was related to marijuana. You don't go to a rehab facility for marijuana. Not in my mind. And Andrew was never sentenced to go to a rehabilitation center. So y'all, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs made that up. Sorry.
Well, and we even showed
angry.
it.
And by the way, nobody made that up. Through discussions on various YouTube channels, this one included, there was a coincidence with Amanda's birthday. Also, Andrew does owe court fines. It wasn't to a rehab facility. So, as far as cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, because we talked about it on here, and like I said a little bit ago, I said, well, piss on that. Andrew is not a responsible type of person. And they're certainly not going to do something to Debbie to get $23.85 for him to go and do his responsibility and pay off court fines. That's not how he's not going to do that. Those court fines still haven't been paid. Of course, I guess they just got the money. I guess we'll see what happens with the money. Don't think that law enforcement is not going to watch what she does with that money. No way.
I'm angry.
Understandably. And we even showed at one point that the dollars were not adding up. Like they were coming up with all these equations to where it had to be the exact amount that Andrew owed. And, we pretty much debunked that whole theory. And instead of admitting, some YouTubers, instead of admitting that they were wrong, they just kind of doubled down and sent the info to Fox. And then of course Fox are in with it, which I think kind of hurt because then, Fox has a pretty long reach. And so that got out to the entire world that, that's why you got that amount of money.
Yeah, because you were actually on the couch and pulled those records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard
It
to
wasn't
find.
difficult to find that money didn't match that. I mean, but it still is very, it's very, we're all still like, what? It's bewildering.
It is an odd amount. Like it's not an even
Like,
number, so it is kind of out
I
there.
mean, you can understand why people would be like, what is going on there? She, with such an odd amount, I'm sure a lot of people think that you should know exactly what it was for, but you're saying you have no idea.
Yeah. I would imagine with such an odd amount, it might have been like just what was left in the account, or
that's what my thoughts were.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's going to be one of those things that I don't think we're ever going to have a real answer for. I mean, it's just.
Only she knows that.
Yeah. So let's go on to you being a suspect or not being a suspect. You've said you're not. So what exactly, like, what brings you to that conclusion that you're not a suspect in this any longer?
Well, because the GBI told me, I sat down. I'm not gonna name his name because really just don't feel like that's my place. But he's very kind to me. Anyway, it came out of his mouth, and he told me I would have my day when it was all said and done. That because they were upset by the way not only they were treated, but the way I've been treated. And they wanted to, obviously I kind of felt like they haven't done it as quickly as I've wanted it. Because,
Okay, so now she's saying that I guess law enforcement's licking their wounds, GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, law enforcement, they're going to come out and they're going to say, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. They don't work that way. I am going to shit and fall back in it if they come out and they apologize to her. Let me tell you, law enforcement has had parents of children, missing children, in their crosshairs until they were proven innocent and never come out and said a word. Never came out and said, we were wrong. I'm so sorry. These people have lost everything. They couldn't even go to work, blah, 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 blah. They're like, that's the focus of the investigation. That's where the evidence was taking us. And they're on with their day. But Amanda acts like they're going to shut down all the major airways and they're going to say, just so you know, we were 100% wrong about her. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. They do not do that. For one, they don't want to get sued. They might come out and say, well, right now she's not the focus of our investigation. They're not going to come out and make an apology to her and say they were wrong. And wrong about what? They have an investigation to do.
I'm obviously here with y'all, but because they said it. Because they said it.
Now, there still will be a lot of people that won't believe you, and it'll take law enforcement saying it before they believe you, and still even after they say it. I mean, it's just the world we live in. There's still going to be people that don't believe it. But do you have any indication or any idea when they're going to make any kind of announcement or say anything about this?
No, a family member, I guess you could say she's close. They tried calling the week of the memorial because I guess they were upset because of the way that was leaked or yada yada yada. They kept saying that I had something to do with the way they were sharing information, yada yada yada. But oh my goodness, I forget even what you asked me. I'm so upset, y'all. where was I going with that? I'm
Well,
sorry.
we're just curious if you knew when any kind of announcement was going to be made,
Oh,
even if it's not a full announcement, just kind of a, hey, this is what we know. This is who we know didn't have anything to do with anything like that. Any kind of update.
I kind of felt. I'm so sorry, Jason. They told, I guess you could call it, a close family. They told her that they were waiting on 2 reports to come back. And I think now, I thought law enforcement had the intention of making this information public, but I had another family member, I guess, was highly upset and offended because no one spoke to them. Again, nothing to do with me. They went out and publicly attacked law enforcement. So I feel like they, just prolonged me being cleared. They don't care. My family does not care. But they handed it off to the FBI maybe just to cross their T's and dot their I's.
So you just get to remain where you are right now until they make an announcement. Oh, well.
Yeah.
But from what you're saying, I mean, once they do make.
All right, crossing your T's and dotting your I's with law enforcement isn't interrogation and taking DNA, even though she says, I wanted them to take my DNA. Oh, sister, they were going to get it regardless. They were going to get it regardless. Don't give them an excuse to arrest you because they will to get it. They will. They will. Crossing T's and dotting I's. They don't interrogate everybody. That's crazy.
Make that announcement, then hopefully your life will go back to some kind of normalcy. So social media it's a great time, no matter what's going on. And you've been relatively quiet on it, which, I mean, I think that's the right thing to do. If I was in your situation, I wouldn't talk to anybody. But Andrew's been on there a little bit. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I don't really have any kind of opinion about it. His heart was in the right place. Maybe he got upset with a certain people. But it was only because it wasn't about him personally, I don't think. It was more about sorry, that's him. Don't talk to me again, please. I'm trying. But sorry, Paul. I think it was more. Nobody was defending me publicly, and he was tired of me being attacked, and he felt like the one person that should have been there, should have publicly came out and defended me, was the one that accused me of it. And all his feelings put to the side, all the garbage in the past, personal vendettas, that's not even what this is about. I feel like there's just been so much of,
Okay, we may have to listen to that part again, because right there says it all. The person that should have been defending me, her brother, would not come out and say, oh no, not my sister. We talked about it when he spoke to 11 Alive, and he was asked point blank about his sister. I said, most people would be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Don't say that about my sister. No, Lord, no. Jeffrey wasn't taken aback, didn't miss a step. And that's when he went into, I don't think my sister has the capability of doing this to our mother, because that's her lifeline. She is pissed at her brother. Big time mad at her brother. It's making her face itch, if you know what I mean. She's so mad.
I hate Andrew. Andrew's a bad person. Let's jump on that bandwagon. Let's do this. Let's do that. When all you've done is taken away, the attention off my mother, which is what should have been the main focus. Just like family members.
Okay, real quick. This is part of the reason that Jeffrey might be a little upset with Andrew. We already know why he might be upset with his sister. Andrew put this out. Poor Jeff, he's definitely a person of interest, if not the person of interest. Police have phone records and know exactly what type of person he is. Because, police always want to know if you wished your mother happy birthday or not. Maybe if he didn't call his sister a piece of trash, along with other nasty things, she would tell him something. They didn't feel the need to tell him anything because he wasn't close to his mother. No. He wasn't interrogated. His name was never mentioned in that press conference. Not even one time. Not even one time.
One of them showed up to the memorial and made it all about herself. Insulted my best friend. I can count on, I had 6 people in this entire ordeal. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but I had 6 people in this entire ordeal, including you guys, that had been supportive of me. And, my friend April, I'm not going to say her last name, but my best friend April, 20 years, believed me the entire time. But he was to answer your question, he was upset because he felt like the people that should have been there for me weren't. They were nowhere around. People can criticize him all they want, but he's been there for me. So I don't care what your opinions are. Anyway, there you go. I know that was a really long drawn answer, but
I mean, your answer is your answer. You did bring up the memorial service, and some people have asked what was it like being around family and knowing that, some of them accused you and some of them have specifically asked what it was like between you and Jeffrey at the memorial service.
It was the most awkward thing that I've ever experienced. The way Jeffrey set that all up is I was allowed 3 guests. That was my best friend, her husband, and her child. So I had 3 people there. But you can call them family. They're people I'm related to, aside from one aunt, my Aunt Sheila. But the rest of them, they all thought I did it. They all came out and told me to my face they think I did it. Some of them lied about it.
Okay, let's take a poll. I got to hear what you all think about this. Nothing she says surprises me. She's already said that law enforcement is planning someday when they have the time to have a press conference to apologize to her, lick their wounds and say they were all wrong about Amanda. I don't think that's going to happen. We obviously know there is a very tense relationship and a lot of resentment between her and her brother. I think Jeffrey's okay. It's her. Do you really think at this memorial service where she was only allowed to have 3 pals that people went to her and in her face said they think she did it? And maybe it's just me, but I don't think her cousin-in-law buys her. Do you really think that anybody at this memorial service went up to our damsel in distress and said, "You done it. I think you did it. I think you did it"? And I want your 3 friends, because Jeffrey would only allow you to bring 3 people. I want all 3 of your friends to hear it too. I don't think this happened at all. Obviously, cousin Candace wasn't there.
Candace, I think you know what I'm talking about, but they lied about it, and then there were the looks from older parties that were invited, and it was terrifying. It was horrible. I had to get up there and make a speech in front of me, I guess, giving my last respects or whatever to my mother, and everybody's sitting there thinking I did it. It took a lot.
I can only imagine. And I know, my dad passed away a couple of years ago, different circumstances completely, but I know that there was some semblance of closure, that finality of it that day at the funeral. And I mean, Jason was there, he knows. So I can't imagine not having that closure, not having been able to get up there and feel those things and, honor her memory and all with everything else going on.
They actually left me out a lot of stuff. I offered to pay for certain things, and they did take some of my suggestions into consideration in the memorial, and but that was it. That was the only kindness I was shown. I was even the bigger person. I felt like I was supposed to go second to last and speak, and I think the traditional order was like the husband, the oldest, but they went backwards. But it was okay. I was supposed to speak second to last, and I let my brother go ahead of me because I was trying to be the bigger person. But I'm glad I went last because mine was the better speech anyway. None of them were sincere, but whatever.
All right, so now we're back to Amanda does like being the center of attention. I don't think that she likes what's being said about her, although she did mention, without mentioning it, that she has been watching she's been watching YouTube. She knew what had been said about the Venmo amount and everything like that. Now she comes out and says she's the bigger person. They got in her face at the memorial and said she did it, but she said, and I had the better speech. She's all over the damn place. She's all over the place. Yada, yada, yada. She had the better speech, according to Amanda. Yet everybody in the room thinks she did it. How does she know?
I'm rambling, but my feelings are hurt.
Well, you've held all this in for a very long time. So all of these weeks and weeks and weeks that everyone else has been able to, daily or weekly put their thoughts out there, you're trying to get all of this out in a live stream at one time. So, that makes sense. You're trying to let it all out with these questions. So that makes sense. And I hope people are understanding of that. Surely.
We'll see, I guess.
Now I know there was some things going around about the celebration of life service and when it was scheduled for. Did you have any there's some, I don't know, I just want to clear it up. From what I understand is you postponed it or law enforcement talked about it. I don't know, just something like that. Can you clear it up for me? Because I'm clearly confused.
I don't know. You're not the only one confused. So law enforcement reached out to me. They didn't know when I was having a memorial. How were they supposed to know that? But in the interview that I had with them, the only thing I had asked, and I don't know how it came out, I really don't, but the only thing I had asked them was I didn't want to taint the day of the celebration. I wanted to leave that Saturday about positive thoughts about, her life and love, and that's the only thing I asked. I said, just please do it after the memorial.
And when you say do it after, is that when police kind of backed off of the homicide and when they said it?
Yes.
Okay. So they came and talked to you about it and before they announced it?
Yes.
So, okay.
They gave me that.
I feel like it had to be kind of a little bit of a shock then when all this time since then has passed and they still haven't come out and done that. It's like, okay, you were going to wait till that happens. So what now?
I think a lot of that has to do with my brother. Sorry, I'm not trying to call you out there, bro, but he's just.
And there it is. I think a lot of this has to do with my brother. No. Don't ever get it twisted and think that victims' families call the shots with law enforcement. It doesn't work that way. If law enforcement was going to clear the air and let everyone know that Amanda, little Dandy, had nothing to do with this, they would have damn sure done it before the memorial service. Sorry, bro. Her brother does not call the shots. We already know that. He's had his own issues.
That happened. So what now?
I think a lot of that has to do with my brother. Sorry, I'm not trying to call you out there, bro, but he's just prolonging it. I mean, I've already done what I guess he thinks he's doing. I guess in his mind he thinks, oh, well, I'm making sure she got a fair case. No, bro, I've already done that. The day that it happened, law enforcement was like, well, was there mental health issues? Was there mental health issues? No, my mind, I didn't realize my mom's depression was as bad as it was, so I fought them on that. I'd already said there was no mental health issues, which that brought more attention onto me. I didn't just say, hey, yeah, it's mental health, I wanted it to be investigated thoroughly. I'm sorry. I hope that answers your question.
No, I mean, I think it does. I mean,
I'm sorry.
No, and Candace, were you like when somebody does complete the act of suicide, I would imagine that people don't have the same reaction to it, and they don't accept it, or they don't want to believe it, or like how does that work? Like, have you worked with clients like that before?
Oh yeah, and it's, I mean, when people have a family member or friend that has struggled, like they see them struggling with, a certain diagnosis or certain things, then they tend to, take it a little easier. Sometimes it's really hard though when you don't see it, or you thought, okay, well, they were a little sad sometimes, but I mean, who thinks that? Like, nobody thinks that. So I think for some people, no, absolutely. And I think people go into denial. And I think also, and I don't want to say this in the wrong way and speak out of turn, but I think that some people, when they feel guilt about their own actions, they have a harder time accepting it, because then that means they have to accept that they left that relationship that way before being able to reconcile. And I think that makes it harder for them to get to that place where they can have acceptance.
Yeah, and I would imagine too that with the details of this case and just how bizarre it is, I mean, I would imagine that would play some kind of role in like when you actually do accept it, or if you ever truly accept it. I mean, I wouldn't think that. I mean, because most, some people have trouble with just, I don't want to say normal suicide because that's a terrible thing to say, but when there's so many things that go into this, and I'm sure law enforcement is doing everything they can, but not coming out and speaking more. I'm sure they're waiting until they get everything they need before they say anything, but not saying anything kind of prolongs everything, whether it be, people who are still considered suspects versus what actually happened, and people being able to move on. But that's just me with my non-therapist background.
I have a personal opinion, but I don't know if this is what it is. So it's just completely my personal opinion. From everything that's come about, it seems to me as if the police are at that conclusion. And I think the autopsy is back. They're waiting on toxicology, and that could take a long time. And I think that they don't want to speak until they can answer every question, because they know, especially now after some of the criticism, they're going to get hammered in that press conference with questions.
Yeah.
And if they were to go up there and say, well, we know that she died by suicide. Okay, but how? Well, we don't know because tox screen's not back. How do you say that? So I think that they're waiting on that to come back so they can say, okay, it was this that did it, or this, that did, like it was insulin or pain or whatever it was.
Whatever.
Yeah, and I think that unfortunately every week that goes by, they're thinking that tox screen's coming back, so they're ready. They're like, yeah, we're coming out. We're going to let everybody know. And then before they know it, another week's went by, and they still haven't been able to come out, on live TV or whatever, and clear her and give any answers. And it's so unfortunate, though.
Yeah, and I'm just concerned too that some of the details we're not going to have answers for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, and that's also a little, worrisome. Obviously, you want everything to be nice and tied up with a bow, and we know exactly what happened, but I don't know if that's going to happen here. One other question that people are asking, and I will just tell you that even when I was team Amanda definitely did this, this still made absolutely no sense to me. But your move back from Maryland to Georgia just a couple of days before your mom passed. Like, for me, when people were saying that was suspicious, in my mind, you got to be a special kind of stupid to do that. So, and I'm telling you, and that's when I was on the other side. That's when I thought I thought you had something to do with it. And even that, I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. But why did you come back?
There were a number of things. Number one, I miss my mama. The problems that my brother and I had, he pretty much disowned me. I'm not going to go into that, but he was done with me. And I was just like, oh my God, I left my mama for this. Like, I could have stayed in Georgia for this crap. But
and there it is. My brother pretty much disowned me. It was said at the press conference that she had moved from Maryland. He lives in Maryland. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't expect his help as well. He pretty much disowned me. Oh, I left Georgia for this? For her brother's not her mama. And her mama mommed her until almost the age of 40. I have a feeling that is a big source of contention in their family. I don't think that Jeff is the only one who had an issue with it. When Debbie's sister called and they played the recording, she had a lot of doubt in her voice because the information she was getting was coming from Amanda.
I had a slow sewage leak in my apartment, on top of see, I didn't live in the same apartment complex with my brother.
I've been putting bad info out because I thought you did. That's my bad.
Yeah, no, he lived 9 minutes away. But,
Okay.
So you're one of the problems, Candace.
I am. I thought it was the same complex. That's my bad.
oh no, that's what law enforcement said.
Gotcha.
That wasn't you. Which is fine, whatever. But her sister and her boyfriend lived above me, and they really kind of played off my mental disorder. Told the landlord I was crazy, this, that, and the other. I'm not going to go over that, but it was just really horrible. I couldn't sleep a lot of nights because it was 87 degrees inside my house. I was tired of the drama. I was tired of made to feel bad for just trying to live my life for myself. I was tired of being told what I shouldn't do when my name is on a lease. There was that. My job at the time was, y'all know, Habitat for Humanity. There was really nothing wrong there. But my best friend, April, she contacted me one day and she was like, girl, I see and I hear you're miserable. I'm a recruiter. I can send, I guess I got myself the job. But, kind of get your foot in the door and forward that resume, and she did do that for me. And, just by knowing somebody, I got a really good paying job. It was almost $6 more than I was currently making per hour. And that was another reasoning. But that night, I drove through the night, Wednesday night. I don't know what. I kept asking them to not turn the air off, AC off, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. When you have bipolar disorder, if you don't get the correct amount of sleep per night, it messes with you mentally. And it was just that stress. I miss my mom. It was causing me problems at my job. Not problems, but I was making mistakes and my mind's all over the place with stuff. And it just, my best friend was being supportive. My mom was being supportive. I do want to touch on this too. There was stuff out there that my mom was scared of Andrew. They might have had their disagreements or whatever. What family doesn't? That's just whatever. Our arguments were before. I'm jumping all over the place, but I want to touch on that for just a second. Andrew's not a bad person. Our relationship is not what the media is seeing. Part of our problem was me. Part of the problem was I wasn't diagnosed. I don't know if Candace, I'm not putting you in this bucket, but bipolar disorder. Where was I even going with this?
I'm guessing you were to say it runs in families.
Yeah. I was.
Andrew said under no uncertain terms that this family hated him. This family hates him, is what he said. He didn't verify that Debbie was scared of him. That came from other sources, but he made it clear. He made it clear that they do not like him.
I guess let me go into this tangent real fast. You can see arrests. My first arrest, I was 7 months pregnant and lost my child. Due to the birth weight of my child, it was considered a miscarriage. A lot of people in society don't recognize women that go through that.
True.
And I went off the handle. I'd never lost anything in my life. It really hurt my mother, especially. She was the only person there for me. Being a grandma was, and looking back on it, I don't even think she realized how much it hurt her. But that's what really, that loss is what, I mean, according to my psychologist now, it's really kind of what set off that bipolar disorder, because you're not technically, to get a diagnosis, you have to be at least 20 years old. From the studies I've personally done myself on bipolar disorder, you don't really get that kind of diagnosis until you're like 20-ish. But I went through life not knowing what was wrong with me. I got in really bad states of depression. I wallowed in my own pain for about 8 years. I had substance abuse issues. Think what you want, I don't really care. That was one of the things my mama promised me. She was like, you're not coming back to Georgia, Amanda. If you can't promise me you'll be clean. I don't care what anybody has to say. I made that promise to my mother. I'm gonna keep it. But where was I going with all this? I'm an emotional wreck. But once I was diagnosed in August,
that is very, very sad. Now she keeps turning it all about her. And old boy in the corner isn't chiming in on the pity party, if you've noticed. They're letting her go on and on with that, though. But she says, my mama said, if you come to Georgia, you have to stay clean. I cannot believe she is acting this erratic and admitting that. Basically, everything all the shade she's trying to throw on Jeffrey, if anybody was buying it, it's bright and sunny now. There's no shade.
My life made sense. The substance abuse made sense. Some of the jobs I lost or quit, for that matter, made sense. Unless there's tons of people that have bipolar disorder, but until you have lived a day in my brain, you don't know what it's like to wake up and not be able to go to work because you don't understand what's going on with yourself. So yeah, I struggled for a lot of years. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in August of last year, and I turned my life around. Nobody else is going to take that from me. I don't care what anybody else has to say. I got a good job in January. I got my life together. Andrew and my mother both supported me. And I'll go back to that argument, but I saved up the money. I bought a car. I saved up money to move to Maryland. I mean, just what?
My question, and it's really neither here nor there, if she's doing that great for herself, good for her, okay? She said she finally got a job. She saved up all this money. She got a car, all that stuff. Now, we saw Andrew having that shit fit on Law and Crime about all his Williams-Sonoma's checks that she was stealing because he had to go to his grandma's house and sleep on the couch. She wasn't doing too good then, right? Why was Debbie her lifeline then? This is according to Jeffrey. We didn't have to have Jeffrey tell us because we have seen page after page after page after page of Venmos. That is a one-way Venmo. It goes straight to Amanda, but there is no money coming back. There's no, I'm short. Can I get $20 till payday? Here you go. And then you see a Venmo a few days later coming back when payday happens. So if we're doing that good, I'm just really confused as to why there was so much money going to her. There is a Venmo transcript that goes back a year and a half that I've seen. I don't know how long this has been going on. Don't get me going on MMA getting all his Williams-Sonoma's checks stolen, he said.
Drug addict has $4,500 laying around. I'm not, and I will admit, I struggled there for a second with my substance abuse. I struggled for about, probably from August to December, and I just sat myself down one day and I got help. I just knew what's wrong with me.
It's very common for people to self-medicate because all they know is they're hurting. And when you're hurting that bad, you'll do anything to make it stop. And people being judgmental of that. Sorry, I'm not used to this being family we talk to where I have an emotional connection.
This is okay, babe.
But, I mean, people are very judgmental about things they don't understand. But I see clients every day that struggle with substance abuse and they don't know why. And then we give them a diagnosis and a good regimen of medication, and it turns their life around.
Everything we have heard about Debbie Collier and have seen is that she took care of Amanda. I almost wonder if she said, okay, you come down to Georgia. They moved her into, or were in the process of moving her into, I believe, a rental house or apartment, something that Steve owns. So she's set up, she's going to keep an eye on her. Why, if your life is your children, and we have never heard that she does not love her children very much. We've seen these Venmos, and I'm not saying money equals love. I'm not saying that at all. She took care of Amanda. She took care of her. If Amanda is that fragile and needs mama, she needs to be mothered still at almost 40 years old. Why would Debbie unalive herself and leave Amanda on this earth without her to take care of her? We've never heard that Debbie was selfish or anything like that. That's her parting wish for Amanda? 2385? Christina, but at 36, should she still be cared for? No. But she had been doing it. And also nude. What mother, not just Debbie Collier, but if you know your kids cannot take care of themselves, I don't think that, no. No.
Successful. Let me put that out there. I'm very successful. I do very well for myself. I'm not going to go into where I work, but I just work 4 12-hour shifts.
And for that job, and because there's people that still believe that you are, on drugs, but I would assume that you've had to submit the drug tests to get the job, right?
Yeah. I will say this much: the interaction that I have with others in my profession, there ain't no way I would come to work high and somebody wouldn't notice.
Most definitely.
Whatever.
Well, I imagine too, from my experience working with people that struggle with bipolar disorder, when you're manic, you get angry very easily and you overreact very easily.
Oh my gosh.
So I can see how that would have led to a lot of what people are seeing as all this domestic violence. I mean, it was probably manic episodes where you're losing your temper, and Andrew's like, "What the heck?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this crazy lady?"
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not a bad guy. And if you want to sit there, I'm not talking about y'all, but judge him however you want. He doesn't care anymore.
Well, I will say this: any guy that can deal with a Bearden is a saint. Because I live with one, so I know Andrew. Like I know the pain he goes through.
I'm sure he's greatly. But he's been here. You don't know what it's like to be bullied, be robbed of the emotions that I should have been able to feel, and I wake up every day with some new nonsense. I just really hope me speaking, like you said, Jason, it's not gonna matter me saying if I'm not guilty or I am, but I just. I'm sorry. People are gonna think what they want to think.
Well, we just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak. I know that we hadn't pressured you to come on here. We were just like, hey, if you ever want to talk, come on here and talk, because to be quite honest, I don't trust news media. So and that's why if something ever happened to me, that's another, I'm not talking to them either. But I just hope that some people can at least, even if they still believe that you are guilty of something, hopefully they at least see you as a human. And hopefully we can, the toxicology comes back or whatever they're waiting on, and these announcements can be made, so that way you can move on and you can grieve the way you need to grieve, and all of this stuff can. You're good. You're all right.
Okay, I'm good.
But you're fine.
We just, and Candace and I mean, we weren't gonna even talk about this case, and just out of respect for family. But the reason we did was not to prove your innocence or prove your guilt. The only thing we were focused on was, hey, we don't have all the evidence. Let's not just immediately jump on one person. So that, I mean, that's really the reason we started this. Because
I mean, I've heard several people say they're just trying to boost their YouTube, which is funny because we don't even monetize our YouTube. Like,
I'm not. And I will admit, I struggled there for a second with my substance abuse. I struggled for about, probably from August to December, and I just sat myself down one day and I got help. I didn't know what's wrong with me.
It's very common for people to self-medicate because all they know is they're hurting. And when you're hurting that bad, you'll do anything to make it stop. and people being judgmental of that. Sorry, I'm not used to this being family we talk to where I have an emotional connection.
It's okay, babe.
But I mean, people are very judgmental about things they don't understand. But I see clients every day that struggle with substance abuse and they don't know why. And then we give them a diagnosis and a good regimen of medication, and it turns their life around.
I'm successful. Let me put that out there. I'm very successful. I do very well for myself. I'm not going to go into where I work, but I just work 4 12-hour shifts.
And for that job, and because there's people that still believe that you are, you know, on drugs, but I would assume that, you know, you've had to submit to drug tests to get the job, right?
Yeah. I will say this, that the interaction that I have with others in my profession, there ain't no way I would come to work high and somebody wouldn't notice.
Most definitely.
Whatever.
Well, I imagine too, from my experience working with people that struggle with bipolar disorder, when you're manic, you get angry very easily and you overreact very easily.
Oh my gosh.
So I can see how that would have led to a lot of what people are seeing as all this domestic violence. I mean, it was probably manic episodes where you're losing your temper, and Andrew's like, "What the heck?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this crazy lady?"
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not a bad guy. And if you want to sit there, I'm not talking about y'all, but judge him however you want. He doesn't care anymore.
Well, I will say this: any guy that can deal with a beard is a saint. Because I live with one, so I know Andrew. Like I know the pain he goes through.
I'm sure he's greatly. But he's been here. You don't know what it's like to be bullied, be robbed of the emotions that I should have been able to feel, and I wake up every day with some new nonsense. I just really hope me speaking, like you said, Jason, it's not gonna matter. Me saying if I'm not guilty or I am, but I just.
Why'd she just say if I'm not guilty or I am? Is that back to I don't care what anyone thinks about me? If I'm not guilty or I am, she said. She said, I'm not guilty or I am, but.
I know the pain he goes through.
I'm sure he's greatly. But he's been here. You don't know what it's like to be bullied, be robbed of the emotions that I should have been able to feel, and I wake up every day with some new nonsense. I just really hope me speaking, like you said, Jason, it's not gonna matter. Me saying if I'm not guilty or I am, but I just. I'm sorry. People are gonna think what they want to think.
Well, we just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak. I know that we hadn't pressured you to come on here. We were just like, hey, if you ever want to talk, come on here and talk, because To be quite honest, I don't trust news media. So and
Especially
that's
that.
and that's why if something ever happened to me, that's another area I'm not talking to them either. But I just hope that some people can at least, even if they still believe that you are guilty of something, hopefully they at least see you as a human. And hopefully we can, the toxicology comes back or whatever they're waiting on, and these announcements can be made, so that way you can move on and you can grieve the way you need to grieve, and all of this stuff can. That's you're good. You're all right.
Okay, I'm good.
Bless your heart.
But
You're fine.
we just, and Candace and I mean, we weren't going to even talk about this case, and just out of respect for family. But the reason we did was not to prove your innocence or prove your guilt. The only thing we were focused on was, hey, we don't have all the evidence. Let's not just immediately jump on one person. So that, I mean, that's really the reason we started this. Because
I mean, I've heard several people say they're just trying to boost their YouTube, which is funny.
Okay, I'm good.
Bless your heart.
But
you're fine.
But we just, and Candace and I mean, we weren't going to even talk about this case, and just out of respect for family. But the reason we did was not to prove your innocence or prove your guilt. The only thing we were focused on was, hey, we don't have all the evidence. Let's not just immediately jump on one person. So that, I mean, that's really the reason we started this. Because
I mean, I've heard several people say they're just trying to boost their YouTube, which is funny because we don't even monetize our YouTube. Like, I mean, I work 40 hours a week. This is not my money maker. But my thought was when
you have a life.
But you're fine. But I first said, out of respect to family, I'm not covering this. But a few weeks, whatever went by, and I just kept seeing the bashing without facts. And I told him, I said, I cannot take it anymore. I said, we have a platform. Like, I mean, we don't have 10 million subscribers, but if I can't use the platform I have to help my own family, what's the point? Like, what's the point?
But at the same time, you did say that if we go down this road and it turns out that this is what she said, I'm gonna bust her up. I mean, when we started this and we were going down this road, she did say, but if I find out, but hold on, she did say, if I find out that she's lying and she did have something to do with it, I'm gonna bury her ass under the gym myself. So just so you know, like
I can't blame you.
We're still in the middle. When we started,
everybody's got my address.
Well,
Fox News.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Debbie in years, but I just remember her always being so happy and smiling. And I mean, I legit can hear her voice in my ears. And when they played one of her calls and I heard it, it was the exact same thing I'd been hearing for weeks. And it's just, she's the only person who ever called my Uncle Joe Joseph. And I just hear her, Joseph? Now, Joseph. Don't say that, Joseph. I mean, I don't know. She just was, I don't know. She's so bubbly.
Yeah, she was such a happy person. I mean, it didn't matter what, she didn't even talk about herself most of the time. We only really had that kind of relationship, but she was just all about trying to make somebody else happy, put a smile on somebody else's face, cheer somebody up. I mean, I've outside of the memorial or whatever, people, it's only been a few because everybody thinks I'm a killer, but they were like, oh my God, your mom, she was there for me. you know, we were so close. She helped. You know, she was a good friend to me, and that's who my mom was. Man, just
No.
if she could help somebody, she was gonna do it.
Well, you know, you went dark, which I totally get, because who wants to hear all this? But because you went dark on social media, I've gotten message after message after message, and I've gotten so many messages from people that were like, I knew Debbie from here, I worked with Debbie, or this, or this, or this. And they do. They just have the most wonderful things to say.
She's a good person.
I'm sorry. I feel like I don't want to upset you.
She was just, I won't ever meet another woman like her.
No, but I promise it will get easier.
And Sandy Todd, you are a horrible, horrible person. And I tell you what, you got my address. I would love to give you a real warm welcome. Please. I want to have a family reunion. Please. How dare you disgrace my mother's name? You took away someone that meant the world to my mother. And I am referring to my uncle. You have no room to talk. I'm sorry, y'all. You have no room to talk.
I'm not gonna say very much out of we've done this whole talking. The only one person I've heard from is Sandy, and that was to basically cuss me out. And then she just deleted all the messages. So
Sandy is an aunt, and I do not know exactly what Sandy did, but it really pissed Amanda off. Again, we have passive-aggressive Amanda. At this point, you're on a platform. You're on your cousin's platform. You've already said family's disowned you. Now, this isn't the aunt that they have recorded. This isn't Diane Shirley. I don't know what she means, that this Sandy Todd took away her uncle. I'd love to hear Sandy's side of the story. Would love it. What did Kitty say? You said Kitty said, hang on. I heard someone say Kitty spot on. I missed it. Come over to my house, because she's not going to waste the gas. I'd love to give you a warm welcome. Something about the uncle, and she's really, really, really pissed off. I have not, of course, I've been following this case. We've been following up, on my own platform. I've never seen a Sandy Todd on any channel. Wonder what that's all about. She just got threatened, though. She just got threatened.
you can't see that she said any of that to me. I was like, well, all right, I guess we're not for you. It is what it is.
How dare you attack? And that was another thing, I wanted with my other cousin on that side. Did not attack the only people that have been there for me. It's just like kind of monster. Sorry, y'all. I think Scooby-Doo taught us that. Monsters are people,
Well, I don't know who goes after a couple of girls that are Candy and Mandy running around me. That is the most Southern thing ever. Well, hey, I know that tonight was very difficult. We really appreciate you opening up. I think it's important. I know it's not easy talking about this, and I know it's not easy to try and basically convince people that you did not murder your mother, especially when law enforcement has told you that. And there's a lot of people, and it's understandable why some people want to wait and have that final say of, okay, she didn't do it until law enforcement says it. And hopefully that happens soon.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Andrew has also been cleared. I want to put that out there. It's just not me. It's him too. So,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I interrupted you, Jason.
No.
You're the most polite killer I've ever met. I just don't.
Oh, goodness.
No, you're fine. But I will say that there are a lot of people who have sent us messages that say they feel for you and your family and that they support you. And we've received quite a few messages of people that said, I thought 100% she did it and I don't anymore. And, tell her I'm sorry for me. And we will continue to pass those along to you.
And I understand the people that were absolutely horrible dragging your name through the mud and then tried to walk it back, being frustrated with. But some of them, I mean, a lot of them genuinely are people that were just, they weren't being ugly. They just, the information that was coming out, they thought it sounded like you were a good suspect. But then they started, reading into it and were like, maybe this wasn't her. But you have a lot more support than you realize.
And we just hope that, I can understand why law enforcement is waiting to make any announcements. They want to have all the answers because, I mean, because in a case like this, like you said, Candace, I mean, if they don't have all the answers that they can possibly get if they come out with a press conference and they don't have it, it's not going to look good for them. So I can understand why they're waiting. I am a bit frustrated that they won't at least come out and say, hey, we don't have all the answers, because Candace and I were talking about this, and honestly, you don't know what you would do if you're not in that situation. However, I'm gonna do it anyway right here. I would at least come out and say, hey, guess what? We don't know everything. What we do know is that this person, and whoever had nothing to do with it. And then I would just walk away from the podium, like, no further questions. We'll be back later when we have all the information, like, at least to clear people, so that way, whether it's you or any other case of somebody that's going through the same thing, I just wish that those type of things would be said. I know that they don't have all the answers yet, but they do have some.
And he's exactly right. They do have some. And if she is no longer a suspect, and she said Andrew is not a suspect, he's been cleared too, then something, if they cared, would have been cleared up before the memorial. Now, the way she's got it in her mind, Amanda, she has got it really in her mind that when this press conference is made and when this press conference goes down, it's going to be one way or another. We're just giving you guys an update. We're continuing our investigation, but there's not going to be any. We're so sorry, Amanda. I can't believe we talked to you that way. Amanda, will you please forgive us? They are not ever, not just Habersham County, but any county, ever going to come out and say, we questioned the wrong person. We interrogated the wrong person. That redheaded lady that got in her face and said, I know you murdered your mama. That's never going to happen. They don't want to get sued. They don't want to put their opinion at risk. And they don't want to look like idiots to the other criminals going, well, at least they'll apologize to you if they get it wrong. They're real nice if they get it wrong. No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I believe some of what she says, some of the stuff she says, I don't believe. Because we've been following the case. So we already know. We sat there, it was like 7 o'clock in the morning my time and went through the press conference. We watched it all together live. We already know. And if all of this has gone down and they have told her, you're not a person of interest, we're not worried about you. We're not worried about you. Don't worry about it. She should, it's very rude to tell people how they should feel, but she should be ecstatic that she is in the clear and she is out of the way. She should not be allowing her boyfriend to put shit like this up. Poor Jeff. He's definitely a person of interest, if not the person of interest. How can she sit here and say this is an episode of unaliving? This is an episode of unaliving, yet her boyfriend's father got on Facebook to raise money. He said because he had to get an attorney to prove that his son has nothing to do with, he said, drum roll please, the murder of Debbie Collier. Then MMA jumps on there and says, Jeff is, if not the person of interest. Why? Even though he was in Maryland, police have phone records and know exactly what type of person he is. Well, he's the type of person that has a job and goes to work. Maybe if he didn't call his sister a piece of trash, along with other nasty things, she would tell him something. No, it doesn't work that way. We all know that. Law enforcement is not caving to Jeffrey, and they're certainly not going to come out and say, wow, we had it wrong all along. We had it wrong all along. Should have never said anything to Amanda. Should have never said anything to Amanda. Amanda says she doesn't care what anyone thinks about her, whether she's guilty or not. She did. She slipped and said that. I rewound it and we listened to it before she got that thing caught in her nose. Because after he says all that, she gets on her Facebook to continue the drama, as opposed to getting on with her successful life. You know, she saved up money to buy a car and everything. Yet for some reason, we have a year and a half of Venmos where her mother was sending her money all the time. Here's a 10, here's a 20, here's a 30, here's a 50, here's a even 100. Anyway, she said, I've decided, this is her Facebook. This is public, by the way. I've decided to remain quiet during this time regarding my mother's death. But I wanted to say thank you to every person that got online, including family members that I know blamed me. You know blamed you. You said they walked up to your face at the memorial and got in your face and said, I know you did this, along with your 3 guests, because Jeffrey would only let you bring 3 guests, including family members that I know blamed me and laughed at me, accusing me of murder. You robbed me of my healthy process of grieving and emotions that I should have been able to feel in the most horrific and traumatic time of my life. I don't think it's so much the family. You said yourself, they took you downtown and interrogated you. They served a search warrant on your house that you had just moved into, and they were there like 6 or 8 hours. I got that from the New York Post. You said, oh, I'm going to give you my DNA. They were going to take it either way, girlfriend. Don't worry about it. You said that cop, that woman cop with red hair, got in your face and said, I know you murdered your mama. But she's angry with the family. Now, the family probably already knew that she has her own struggles. I don't think that the family just leaped onto Amanda did it without the very suspicious Venmo, which she still cannot explain, just that she's got the money. But this is what she says, including family members that I know blame me and laughed at me, accusing me of murder. You robbed me of my healthy process of grieving and emotions that I should have been able to feel in the most horrific and traumatic time of my life. So with that being said, you're fake. You're fake. Sorry, I judged you. Apologies don't mean anything to me. I don't want your sympathy or support. Again, thank you for making my life a living hell. I don't care what the media led you to believe. There's no excuse in being a horrible human being. Investigate this, go F yourself, and get a life. Please keep me posted in your findings, losers. Everything is about her. Everything is about her. Everything. They tell you that you're not a person of interest. They're good with you right now. If they need something, they'll give you a call. And what do? You take to Facebook, you lambaste your family. The reason that they probably still do think it, not gonna lie, because old boy that was interviewing you, he wasn't buying none of your bullshit. He was trying. He was trying. She goes into her mom's depression. Her mom was oddly giving a lot of stuff away. Well, to who? To her. Has anyone thought that her mom giving her things is because she just got to Georgia? She drove down there. She didn't mention a U-Haul with all of her belongings. She probably came down there with just me, myself, and I. She probably just kind of had what clothes she gathered up. Probably something bad happened in Maryland and she had to get the hell out of there. She probably packed up what she could. She said she drove all night. Her mom was probably giving her stuff left and right. She's probably like, hey, I have an extra one of these. I have an extra one of these. Put this in your apartment. We'll figure out the rest of it later. That doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like someone who's getting ready to end it all. Her mother has bent over backwards for her for almost 40 years. Amanda's no spring chicken. Knowing that her daughter cannot take care of herself, why would this woman just send her $23.85 and end it all? She knows $23.85 isn't going to make Amanda through in a weekend. Doesn't make any sense. It makes none. But she says she knew she was depressed and she was giving her all this stuff. She's had time to Google. Okay, she's had time to do some studying. She also said her mom's back is so bad that she would never walk too far. She said it pains her to take a step. This is what she told Fox News. Police identified Collier's adult daughter as Amanda Bearden. She told investigators that her mother had no history of mental illness. Not what she's saying now. And that she had a bad back, indicating to law enforcement she couldn't walk far on foot. This is what she told Fox News. Nobody else knows about this bad back. Nobody knew anything about any mental illness until now. I agree with Jeff. What came out in the New York Post today. I think Debbie came upon something that she couldn't get out of. When he said, I don't think my sister has the capability to do this because, well, my mother was her lifeline. He knows it. He knows it. But she is wanting, with everything else that's going on, Kelly, Brooks, you assume so much. What does Amanda have to mention a U-Haul? How else would she make the move? And she said, no, you're 100% right. I'm just trying to size everything together. Because when she said her mom was giving her so much stuff, like at the time she was also setting up a new house. And it was said early on that she didn't bring her things with her. And you heard her in the interview, she said, I drove all night. Well, what was the hurry? Why was she in such a hurry that she was in? I mean, it seemed to me it was a hurried move, particularly with the money that was being Venmo'd. No, you're right, Kelly. Particularly with the money that was being Venmo'd leading up to the move. It seems like something might have gone on. She even talks about her brother. He just cut me off. And I've heard two different things about the job interview. For one, I heard the job interview was via Zoom And she did it before making the move to Georgia, which would make more sense to me. Why would you make the move down there if you didn't have the job? That's just what I think. Real quick before I close this up, is Linda still in here? Linda, are you still in here? By the way, I have the link pin if anybody wants to grab it. Kelly, exactly, and she got the job. Oh, I thought you were saying she was on a hurry to get down there for a job interview. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. That's correct. I was getting in too much of a hurry. Is Linda still in here? I guess Linda's not in here. Well, Linda said it was her birthday, so I wanted to tell her happy birthday. And whew, what a week. What a week, guys. It's been something every day. It seems like it's been that way for like the last 3 weeks. It's been crazy. So I imagine a lot of people are off work today because it's Veterans Day. But if you have to work today, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have holidays coming up, so we'll be getting work off then. Yes, happy birthday, Linda. I saw that when we were kind of in the middle of the interview. So before I shut this down, what is your impression of what Amanda, do you believe Amanda? I believe she's not really a person of interest to law enforcement. I can't really shake what Jeffrey was saying, though, because he would know her and her relationship with her mother way better than us. That I don't think my sister has the capability, but I think somebody around her might. Oh, Linda is in here. Hang on. Happy birthday, Linda. Oh, we got Kelly backstage. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, darling.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Doing okay. No, I was asking the questions as a paralegal. I'm looking at this.
I need to hear it.
Huh? I'm sorry?
I said, I need to hear it. What's going on?
No, I was asking the question as a paralegal and looking at this as a lawyer would. And yeah, she's fishy, and I get that. But what they may be telling her personally, and she may be getting wrong, is, of course, hey, we got this wrong. They're not going to do that. I get that. But they may be telling her personally, hey, you're not a suspect any longer. Which would also explain them getting the Venmo money back, which she says she still has. The question I asked about how do we know she didn't have a U-Haul? She did the interview, she got the job, she had to move down immediately. She packed up quickly and they drove down. Why would she mention a U-Haul?
It was my understanding early on, and you know how these cases go, especially in the beginning. So she gets there September 8th. There was the argument, and we still don't know exactly who was involved with that.
On the 9th.
Then on the 10th, now on the 10th, the day that Debbie disappeared, she said in this podcast that she didn't talk to her mom that day. Law enforcement said they know for a fact that she had communicated with her mother via phone. Now, it was said early on, remember, this was early on, that this was Steve's apartment, excuse me, and that it was already furnished.
Correct. But that doesn't mean they didn't pack dishes, they didn't pack silverware, that kind of stuff. We don't know what she packed.
I have never heard, especially from all the Venmos, I didn't see any Venmo that had to do with a U-Haul or anything like that bringing their stuff. And what I said was it would make sense, and not in the she's depressed, getting ready to take herself out of this world way for her mom to be like, look, you just got here. You're going to need this, this, and this. I've lived in this house forever. I've got 3 of everything. Take this, take this, take that. That doesn't scream depression to me, especially when someone's just moved in from out of state. It seems like they didn't bring all their stuff.
No, and I don't know that she made or she brought everything. I'm just saying we don't know what mom gave her. She had a job before she decided to move. I don't know what Andrew was doing. And she's been upfront about not only the drug abuse, but the bipolar diagnosis in August. I mean, she's.
Well, and my question is, okay, stuff has to make sense for me or I can't leave it alone. I don't think she was in those woods with her mom. I think she might know a lot more about what's going on, though.
I think so too.
Now,
And
if you're on podcast, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And I agree completely. I think she knows more, but she may not be able to say more because it is an ongoing investigation.
And that would make sense. I found it to be odd timing for her to, and I do not believe that her cousin and the husband pressured her at all to come on. I don't think that they were begging her at all. I thought they were very fair with the situation. So when she says, I am successful, I do work, I got past this, I got past that. You know, my mom said, if you come to Georgia, you have to be clean, all that stuff. Then what is and she's a grown woman. She's not a college kid. She's not someone that just graduated college or high school. Mom's still helping out. She's in her mid-30s. So why all the money that goes back to like 2021 if she's this successful she keeps talking about? I get it. Just don't mention it.
Well, and again, this is just me trying to look at things at all sides.
I love it.
In plain devil's advocate here. But I don't know what Andrew did. I don't know if he was bringing in money, and if she was the sole income, I can see high cost of living, inflation, what she was making there, because she said the new job was $6 more an hour than what she was making.
Right.
So given the inflation, cost of living, Maryland is very expensive to live in. I get that she may not have been able to make it from time to time, especially with only one income coming in.
But see, now we go back to when we have the video from when he was furious. He was with the cops and he said, she keeps stealing my money. She keeps stealing my money. I had to go to my grandma's house. This family hates me. There's just a lot of inconsistencies with this interview compared to what we've heard for the last 2 months.
Right. And again, new things come up, new things are revealed. So yeah, I can get a changing story. Because
right.
As she gets new things. And I say this not only as a paralegal, but somebody who's just lost a spouse due to a vehicle accident.
Oh no.
Yeah, back in January.
Oh, okay.
I know because I was on the phone with them when it happened. They questioned me. And were we arguing? Were we doing anything that would cause him to swerve like he did? This, that, and the other. All because I was on the phone. So I get that as new information changes, because when my husband first passed, there was a courtesy officer to his left fender who stated that it looked like a medical emergency. So that's what we had to go by. As it turned out, and test results came back in my at the hospital, that there was no sign of heart attack or brain stroke. So that had to change. So for like 3-4 months, all we knew is it looked like a medical emergency. Come to find out, we still don't know why he swerved. My guess is that there was something in the road and he went to avoid it and lost control of his vehicle. It was a single car accident. It was 3 or 4 months later that we found out that the accident caused major blunt force trauma and broke his neck on impact.
Oh, Kelly, that's awful. And they're asking you what happened because you were on the phone with him?
And tried saying that we were fighting, and that's why he veered off. So again, we're looking at a case that's only 2 months old.
Right. It's very new. That's what I was saying. Some of these things go on for years without any resolution.
Exactly. Hey, I'm 10 months into this and there's still not resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still fighting workman's comp. I'm still fighting for Social Security because I'm disabled.
Oh, no.
And he was our sole income, other than my less than $800 a month of disability. So he was basically our sole income. And I'm still fighting these agencies just to get what I'm entitled to. So looking at Amanda, and as new information comes back in toxicologies and the ME's report and all of that, she's going to learn more. And she's going to have a changing story simply because the information she was given to her at the beginning is going to be different than what it is as test results come in.
I am curious about the phone call because it was said that they did know that Amanda had spoken to her mother via phone. Does she just not remember speaking to her mom that day?
Possibly. And it may be in a quick, hey, yeah, what are you doing? Are you going somewhere? You left? It could be just a checkup on it.
Right.
We don't know. And it's something she does every day, so we still don't know. She may have forgotten about it. And that's why, yeah, there's something off about the girl. I can't put my finger on it. Something's not right. But at the same time, I can't say she's guilty either.
I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if she because as of this morning, the New York Post said this is a murder investigation.
Right.
There was a couple of sources that said something about accident or unaliving. At the press conference, the detective and the colonel made no bones about it. This is a homicide. This is a murder investigation.
Correct.
I am really curious, and she's not saying, and I'm actually glad she's not. What was said to her that changed their mind to take the focus off of her? And then she was, oh, and Andrew's cleared too.
True. And again, what they've told her, maybe something different, just to put her at ease. And so they can watch her.
She could still very well still be under suspicion, and they're just telling her, we don't need anything more from you. I don't know the girl. That could be enough.
That's what I'm thinking. Now, I have a law background. My
Mhm.
dad was a police officer. So I have a tendency of looking at things differently than most. And until all facts are in, I can't say guilty or not.
No, and that's why we're a commentary channel. We talk about it. We can speculate. We can discuss our theories, because you have to admit, this case is bizarre.
It makes up. This case is screwball.
It makes no sense.
Doesn't. But I also don't. And again, an active meth user, as heavy as this young lady is, I don't think so. I have a sister who's still a stepsister, but sister still. That's still involved in this stuff. And when she's not using, she's way overweight. And when she's consistently using, she's way underweight. So I have a problem with her still being a meth addict. And again, she had to take a drug test in order for her to have the drops that she has.
I don't know how often they test there, if she's still working there. This is 2 months.
Yeah, she said she was still working there, and she did
Okay.
have to do a drug test, and she passed that drug test. And you got to remember, this was only 2 months ago. So, no, I don't think she's done a drug test for work since, but I damn well will tell you that police have drug tested her.
I wouldn't be, because 2 months ago is when they did the DNA. I'm sure they did a drug test when she got interrogated. I'm sure when she got to town at some point, she had to do a drug test, and that's fine. That's 2 months ago. I do have a feeling that she might get called for a random if anybody at her work saw that interview, because it looked a little like she was not in her right frame of mind.
No.
And you can definitely see a struggle, a big resentment she has against her brother, and she flat out throws him under the bus. And then to allow Andrew, who's been very vocal about her family and her mother in particular, to allow her and not say, take that down right now, to say, oh no, Jeff is a person of interest because he wasn't that close with his mom and he called his sister a piece of trash. That doesn't make you a person of interest.
No, it doesn't. And again, I can't account for Andrew's actions any more than she can. She can tell him all day long, I want that put up. He's the one that has to make the choice to pull it down.
So on one hand, she doesn't care what anyone thinks. They're cleared, but in a way, we're kind of still stirring that pot. It's not winning any awards. We have Andrew's dad who gets on the internet and he says he's raising money for his son to prove him innocent for this murder. So what is going on?
I don't know.
We're going to keep following it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all we can do.
Just watch it unravel.
Yeah, and I can see, and again, I'm speaking from a place of grief, and you don't know until it happens how you're going to react to shit. Excuse my language.
Oh no, I got you.
You just don't know how you're going to react. When my husband died, I was inconsolable for weeks.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine.
I still have days that I can barely even function. especially with the holidays coming up. Tomorrow would have been our 21st anniversary of our first date.
Oh, Kelly.
So there's a lot of things I know that she's going through in a place of grief that most people don't think about.
Oh,
got,
Kelly.
You got holidays coming up. And you got this looming overhead. I can understand that she's inconsolable. I can understand that she's all over the place because hell, 10 months later, I'm still all over the place.
Well, and on top of it, she has been a suspect in her mother's death.
Exactly. So I understand the confusion. I understand, holy crap, all of this is hitting me at one time.
And so then to people on the outside looking in, they're like, okay, if you've been cleared, then you need to move on to grieving because you've been worried about your own skin, and rightfully so. Move on to grieving and not stir this hornet's nest anymore.
I think for her, because I often thought about taking the Facebook so and so forth when I was being questioned. She wants to clear her name. She wants public to stop harassing her for something she didn't do. And I get that. Granted, as a paralegal, daughter of a cop, you never go anywhere without your attorney in the police or involved.
I really wish for Amanda, I don't know if this was this pre-recorded or done live. Does anyone know? If this was done live, there's nothing they could do about it. But anyway, except for just to pretend like your Wi-Fi shut down and shut it down. I wish she would have waited for this much anticipated announcement by the police, which I hate to tell her is not going to go down the way she thinks.
Nope, it's not. Because one, in an investigation such as this, you question everybody.
Yep.
Everybody. Co-workers, family, and you start with family and branch out. So they're not ever going to say, oh, we interviewed the wrong person, because they're going to do everything they can in an investigation to solve.
They question the wrong person in every case. It's not questioning the wrong person. It's interviewing everybody. They had a specific interest in her, a very specific interest. And I would say in her boyfriend, so specific that when they did the press conference, like I said, every reporter in that room had her name in their mouth and they never once corrected them. Never once. That was very telling to me.
Yep.
Well, Kelly, everybody in here loves you. You have a lot of support here, so don't be a stranger, okay? Miss Linda just said, Kelly.
I'm usually here. I just don't talk all the time.
Well, don't be shy. You know how to find me. You know how to grab the link.
I know.
All right. Well, I'm going to start shutting this down. Hey, send me an email, and I'm going to give you my phone number, okay?
All right, then.
All right, everybody, let's say thanks to Kelly because she's never been up here before, and I think we definitely
I was up here a couple of weeks ago.
How come you sound different today and I don't see your avatar?
I don't know, because my avatar is usually my husband and I dancing at a wedding I performed.
That would be the confusion, because right now it's just a white circle.
Yeah, I know. And when I pulled it up and it said, look at your avatar, I looked at it and it didn't pull up. It's like, what the hell? But anyway, thank you for doing what you do and giving us all a place to discuss the things that we are concerned about.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep doing it.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Send me an email and I'm going to give you my number, okay?
All right, baby. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. All right. Thanks, guys. I feel horrible. I feel horrible for Kelly. I do feel really bad for Amanda. I don't think if Amanda is wanting to sway the public and change the public's mind, it's probably best for Amanda to just not talk to anybody. And I mean that with every sincere bone in my body. I've never been through what Amanda's going through. I don't ever want to. I don't ever want to. I do know that what she is expecting as far as law enforcement coming out and setting the record straight is not going to go the way she is anticipating it at all. Sarah, I don't have very many sincere bones left, if you know what I mean. They're all kind of broke. No. But anyway, guys, I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. I hope all your teams win. Hope you have some great food. I hope it's not too cool, cold, rainy. I hope you're not in the path of this storm or anything. I might pop in this weekend and we'll do a live. I don't know. But to all of our veterans, thank you very much for your service and active duty. Happy birthday to Linda. Thank you, Kelly, for coming up. Kelly, send me an email. I'm going to give you my number. Kamari, thank you very much for helping out today, helping out the mod squad. We've been a little short-staffed around here lately, if you've noticed, but that's okay. We're all so cool with each other. It's not a big deal. All right, guys, I'll see y'all over in Discord. And until then, till the next live, whether it's over the weekend or Monday morning, I was reading a comment. I'm sorry. So thank you, as always, for being the best chat and best community on YouTube. Have a good one. Bye-bye.